All right, welcome back to WMAC Now with your host, Chuck Stevenson, and welcome to the weekend fight review for February 26th through 28th. Going to be going over the fights this weekend. Also, as you see from the thumbnail there are some fights just got announced, and one's almost official. We're going to talk about those for a little bit as well. And good weekend of fights overall. Nothing, too bad. Before I get into it, apologize for the redness. I got out of the shower like 10 minutes ago. So anyway, let's get into this past weekend's fights. Let's not waste time here because I got another stream to do in an hour. So first up, we're going to one championship. Fists of Fury in Singapore had one ladies bout at 115 pounds. Victoria Lee had a successful pro debut, defeating Sinisa Sreeson via submission due to rear naked choke, minute and 3 seconds of the second round. Not a bad debut for Victoria Lee, but she was getting tagged up a little bit on the feet on the inside, which definitely don't want that going on in the future, and got taken down by Sreeson in the first round. And then Sreeson just really fouled up with a takedown attempt in the second round. Same old head and arm throw. Live by it, you die by it. And it cost her. Victoria Lee got that rear naked choke. I was disappointed with Sreeson's rear naked choke defense in that second round that allowed that choke to get through as well. I don't know. It just seemed weird. Anyway, Victoria Lee, 16 years old, 1-0. I'll be honest. The hype that they were doing, I get it. One championship does this with everyone, but they were really pouring it on here. I mean, like I said, I get it. They're in the Lee business. They're in the business of promoting, the Lee family. But this was beyond ridiculous. I mean, okay, she's 16 years old. We get it. And her brother and sister are champions. We get it. But stop acting like every single thing she did was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Okay? She won, but it wasn't that impressive. Okay, even for a 16-year-old, I've seen other 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds do just as impressive work, if not more so, than what she was doing. But they were literally acting like everything she did was just like, like fireworks and nothing in their pants and stuff. So, one championship. Keep the hype to, a respectable level. Then South Korea on Saturday had the Beast Championship 1, had two ladies fights going on. First up, Ye-Jin Cho defeated Eunbi Cho via decision. I had to agree with this one. Eunbi Cho had like the majority of the control in the fight, but mostly she just clinched up, but she wasn't really effectively clinching. I mean, she had the control, but she wasn't landing strikes in the clinch on the outside. She was eating shots. I had to agree with giving it to Ye-Jin Cho. I think it was only a 2-round fight as well. And so I was glad. Honestly, I was glad when that fight ended. So Eunbi Cho is now like 0-4. Really needs to consider if this is what she wants to be doing. Ye-Jin Cho, successful pro debut for her. Then Yerin Hong defeated In Young Che, I think also via decision. Don't have the records there because Tapology never updated the card, but didn't get to see this fight yet, but not surprised here. Yemin Hong already had like 3 fights to chase, 0 fights. So then we move on to UFC Fight Night, or UFC Vegas, 20, or UFC Fight Night. Rosenstrike versus Gunn. Unfortunately, the fight between Angela Hill and Ashley Yoder got canceled like the day before. Apparently one of Yoder's cornermen tested positive for COVID, so they moved that fight back like 2 weeks. I think it's going down on the 20th. So anyway, Alexis Davis defeated Sabrina Mazo in a bantamweight fight via unanimous decision. Davis she really ate punches on the feet. I mean, really ate punches. But Mazo was eating low kicks, especially those calf kicks, like crazy. Just had no answer for them. Surprising to see someone like Alexis Davis, who's been around forever, just pick up that trick that fast. And then on the ground, it was just all Alexis Davis. Just all Davis. Mazo had no answer on the ground, just was on the defensive the entire time throughout the fight. Sabino Mazo coming a long way, but really just has a lot of work to do and really needs to work on her fundamentals, I say. I mean, well, one, she needs to stop being such a slow starter. And then two, she needs to start really work on her fundamentals and use her fundamentals more often. She doesn't stick to her fundamentals as much. Whereas Davis does use her fundamentals. I mean, they're not the greatest. I mean, she's just not that good of a striker on the feet. But tell you what, those low kicks, those are fundamental in MMA. Pick those up, use them very effectively. Had Mazo hurt with them, and then was able to take Mazo down and really just out dominate her on the ground. So nice win there for Alexis Davis, who's I think 36 years old. Let me see. 36 years old, turning back time, beating a much younger fighter. Yeah, like I said, Angela Hill and Ashley Yoder got canceled, unfortunately, but it did get rescheduled real quick. And then at flyweight, Montana De La Rosa and Maida Bueno Silva ended in a majority draw. Silva arguably won this fight. Arguably, I could have seen it either way. Had she not grabbed the fence, yeah, she probably could have won. But she grabbed it, and it was just so blatant, and it was like so totally changed, how that round could have gone. I don't blame the ref for taking a point. A lot of people are mad. They're like, how many freaking warnings happen going on? Well, you know what? One, that's up to the other referee. But two, just because other referees give a million warnings doesn't mean they should be given those warnings. They should be taking points more often, because this foul was absolutely blatant. De La Rosa, she gave up the jab. I don't know what she was doing. Her jab was working in this fight, and she kept giving it up to go back to the wrestling and try for the takedowns that she really didn't get. I think De La Rosa threw this away more than Bueno Silva, took over. Bueno Silva did good work in the clinch. Could have done a lot better. Could have brought, De La Rosa's head down a lot better for the and tightened it up more to land more knees. Probably could have finished her had she done that. And the groundwork was mostly advantageous to De La Rosa. I mean, she had mount, I think, in the second round. So she was doing much better on the ground overall. Bueno Silva was on top in the first or second. But, yeah, I think I saw it like 2-1 for De La Rosa first, and probably the third. I think I saw the second for Bueno Silva. I'd have to watch it again. Still trying to figure out how one judge had it 28-27. Can't figure that out. And that was the one that gave it to Bueno Silva. The other saw it 28-28, which I was fine with the draw. Anyway, that was it for this past weekend. So let's get into some fight announcements. Officially happening now. Zhan Xiaonan taking on Carla Esparza. This is going to go down on May 22nd at a UFC Fight Night. Very excited for this one. Very good, hard-hitting striker taking on, the best active wrestler in the division right now. Yes, I know, Tatiana Suarez, but she's not active. Has been active for almost 2 years now, 1.5 years at least. So that leaves Esparza. There's a lot to go on anyway. Let's get into the stats here real quick. I'll just read them off. Zhan coming in 13-1. Esparza coming in 17-6. Both of them are riding win streaks. Zhan is undefeated in the UFC. She's riding, I think, 6 straight wins there? Yeah, I believe so. 5 or 6 straight wins in the UFC. Most recently defeated Claudia Gadelha 3 months ago. Esparza riding a 4-fight win streak. Most recently defeated Marina Rodriguez via split decision 7 months ago. Esparza is the elder fighter, 33-31. Zhan's older than I thought she would be. Zhan's going to have a height advantage, 5 feet 5 inch, 166 centimeters to Esparza's 5'1", 155 centimeters. But interestingly enough, the reach is identical, 63 inches, 160 centimeters. So this fight could go down one of two ways. Either Zhan could just keep Esparza at the end of her range, which she's going to need to do, and tee off on her, or Esparza is going to be able to take her down in every round. And once it gets down there, I see it easily ending there. We've seen how Zhan reacts to a wrestler against Claudia Gadelha. But what we haven't seen is how she can react to a wrestler who's not going to gas out the way Claudia Gadelha does. That's a big question, because from what we saw in the first round of Zhan versus Gadelha, it's only going to take one takedown. Zhan is not that good on the ground. She has not fully really been tested across 3 rounds of ground fighting yet. Esparza is, we all know that's what she's going to seek to do. So if Zhan gets overly aggressive or extends on her strikes too much, Esparza is easily going to take her down. But she's going to have to work very hard to keep Esparza at the end of her strikes. One thing I think Zhan is going to need to do is look at the way Alexa Grasso fought against the likes of Esparza or other wrestlers, and then don't do what she did. What Grasso does is she adopts this like real low stance to try to stop the takedown, but it takes away her best attribute, which was her striking. She limited her range and reach, and it just really did not work for her. So I would look at what Grasso did, but then don't do that. So keep your reach, keep your height, keep that going. She's going to need to do it. But as far as how this fight goes, I'm going to have to really watch some more tape, some video, and see how it goes before it happens. So since these two are fighting next, and Esparza was one of the people in the mix for the next title fight, and she's now booked, that means that Zhan versus Rose is all but official. So this fight is tentatively scheduled for UFC 261 that goes down April 24th. It is not official yet. Not official, but it might as well be, because if Esparza is already booked for a fight, they're not likely going to move her out of that fight in case these negotiations don't go down. So most likely, this fight is going to happen now. So let's go ahead and talk about it for a little bit here. Got Magnum coming in at 21-1. Namajunas coming in 9-4. Magnum, she's undefeated since her first fight. So, what, 21 fight winning streak? Yeah. Namajunas coming in off the win via split decision over Jessica Andrade 7 months ago. Before that, took a loss coming up on 2 years now almost against Jessica Andrade via slam when she lost the title. So Rose has not been very active lately, but then again, neither has Zhan, but that's for totally different reasons. Anyway, Zhan is the elder fighter, 31 to Namajunas is 28. Rose will be 1 inch taller, 5 feet 5 inches, 165 centimeters to Zhan's Weili's 5 feet 4 inches, 163 centimeters, and Namajunas has the reach advantage as well, 65 inches, 165 centimeters to Zhan's 63 inches, 160 centimeters. If I were Zhan Weili, I would look at, Namajunas' losses and see what does the best against her. I'm going to straight up say it. Pressure. You got to be in Rose's face. Rose does best when she has room to work on the feet. That is where she's at on her best on the feet, is when people give her room to work, give her room to breathe, let her use her lanky ass limbs to, keep people on the edge of them. That's when she does her best. Zhan does good there too, but unlike Rose, Zhan can fight in close. She's good in the clinch. She's good in the pocket. That's where Zhan needs to be in this fight. She needs to get into the pocket and just make Rose feel that pressure round after round after round until eventually Rose will wilt under that pressure. We've seen it happen time and again. If you don't give Rose room to work, she's beatable. If you give her room to work, she's going to use that room to work. As of who do I think will win right now, this is a hard one to pick for me. I'll be honest. I don't like Rose at all. I've never liked her, never found anything likable about her. I always thought she was a spastic weirdo. So it's hard for me to put any bias aside. That said, I also think the hype behind Zhan has just gone skyrocketed up. So I'm anti-hype train there too. So I do still like Zhan, but man, the hype behind her is getting ridiculous. And I have a hard time setting that aside. So I'm going to have to really, really think about that one. Anyway, that's going down at UFC 261, April 24th, which also got announced this week for UFC 261, April 24th. Flyweight championship between the champ, Valentina Shevchenko, and the challenger, Jessica Andrade. No surprise this fight got made. I think everybody knew it was going to get made. It was just a matter of when. So the win is going to be UFC 261. Let's go ahead and talk about the stats here. Valentina, the Bullet, coming in at 20-3. Andrade coming in 21-8. Shevchenko hasn't lost in quite a while. Most recently coming off a unanimous decision win over Jennifer Maia. I think the first fight she's had at flyweight where she actually lost a round. And Andrade coming in off of a KO win over Katlyn Chookagian where she just landed 2 hard hooks to the body that put Chookagian down. Shevchenko is the older fighter, 33-29. Shevchenko will have the height advantage, 5 feet 5 inch, 165 centimeters to Andrade's 5 feet 1 inch, 155 centimeters. Shevchenko will have a reach as well, 65.5 inches, 166 centimeters to Andrade's 62 inch, 157 centimeters. Like I said, this was the fight to make, and everybody kind of knew it was the fight to make. But that doesn't necessarily mean this is going to be like a great fight. I don't think it is. I like Jessica Andrade, and I don't like Valentina Shevchenko. But even I got to admit, Andrade is going to have a puncher's chance at best in this fight. That's really all I'm going to give Andrade is the puncher's chance. I'm not even going to give her the slam chance. I think she has the puncher's chance at best. Shevchenko is a masterful counter striker and is just going to pick Andrade apart. I mean, we saw what happened when Zhan was able to counter strike her effectively. Shevchenko is stronger than Zhan. She's probably built more solidly than Zhan. Doesn't quite hit quite as hard, but she does hit hard. Definitely hits hard. So, excuse me. Yeah, I don't give Andrade a huge, particularly big chance in this fight. So I got to go with Valentina Shevchenko to win this one. I mean, Andrade has that puncher's chance, but that's it. I mean, okay, she could land that hook to the body the way she did against Katlyn Chookagian, but I don't see it happening as much. I definitely don't see it happening as likely. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Valentina Shevchenko to win this one. So what else do I want to talk about on this one? So, yeah, Victoria Lee. Huge hype train already behind her. But I'll be honest, I'm not that impressed. I'm really not. I mean, yes, she came in and defeated a fighter who was like 4-1. Here's the big question, though, and I'm going to talk about this when I do my review for this video, probably tonight or sometime tomorrow. Now that she's already defeated a 4-1 fighter in her pro debut, what is one championship going to do with her? Because anything less than that is going to be seen as an easy squash match, which, granted, one championship is not above giving fighters squash matches. But when you put that much hype behind a fighter, you can't give them anything less than what she just faced. So you've got to give a fighter an equal record or better. But if you go for a better record, then you risk losing her. And then you have all that hype down the drain. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what one championship is going to be able to do as far as their matchmaking with her goes. Now, I think she showed a little bit of promise, not as much as they were, the hype machine over there at one was acting like. To me, she seemed like this typical, very young debutante fighter, which I've seen enough of them happening in Asia that, they can either get really good or they can just sputter out really fast. It can go either way. I mean, she might lose. You never know. She might lose her next 2-3 fights. It's really hard to say because, honestly, one championship probably just gave her, in Sunisa Sreeson, the easiest win they could give her, other than Rika Ishige, maybe, and who Sreeson beat. I just don't see. One championship is really going to have to work hard to match her up appropriately if they want to keep this hype train going. And what else? That's really all I have for this one. Like I said, it was a quick weekend review. Not a whole lot going on. Some okay fights, but nothing spectacular. This fight probably got more. This fight got more traction than all the others probably combined, even the UFC fights. So that's why I wanted to go back and talk about that one some more. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the weekend's fights in the comments down below if you're watching it on playback. Thanks to those who watched live. If you like the video, please give it a like, share it as well. And what are you waiting for? Subscribe to WMMA Now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.